What's going on? Jackson here. Welcome back to the Daily Endeavours for the 15th of February. As always, I've got timestamps and chapters in the description if you want to fast forward to when I talk about a specific endeavour if you're having trouble with just one in particular. Before I start, I just want to go through a few things. The Golden Vendor's up, so I know people like to hear about that sort of thing, so I'll say what I believe is good or bad about this stuff. And there is also some shit to talk about in regards to an upcoming maintenance. So I just want to warn everybody, everyone is going to have an 8-hour maintenance in the near future. So the 19th of February coming up in about 4 days. I think it's on Tuesday for most people. 4 a.m. EST to 12 p.m. EST. So it's like 5 p.m. to past midnight for me. So going to be very limited on how I do endeavors that day because I get home at like 5 p.m. on that day. And I'm probably not going to have enough time to actually do my endeavors that day, but I might be able to have a look at what they are, and I'll talk about them at that point. But yeah, I can't give you any guarantees on that day, sadly. Every other day should be fine. But yeah, I've got another fucking maintenance that just pops up at a time that just really inconveniences me, just really punches me in the face. So yeah, unfortunately nothing I can do about that, but I'll try. Okay, so so unfortunately there's no like warnings in the game usually that'll tell you about that stuff. You have to look at the fucking website, which is irritating, but yeah, what else can you do, I suppose? Alright, so let's chat about the monster sets first. So Earthcore, this is a PvP healer fucking powerhouse, really good set. Now the heal itself is not super powerful. I mean, it's a okay tooltip, I suppose, but the cleanse is the main reason you get this thing in PvP. With the way that PvP is these days, with everybody packing things that pull lots of players in, deal a bunch of damage to all of them, and then vicious death the shit out of, just like bomb a big group of players. Using something like Earthcore to remove AoEs on the floor and basically save everybody's life, this thing is really good to have. Healers, if you want a PvP heal in this game, Earthcore is a must-have, I think. Now, the dungeon itself is quite long, quite challenging, so buying this for 100,000 gold might be worth it, but that just depends on how much you're willing to spend. I mean, the dungeon's outdated now, I suppose, but it's a tough DLC dungeon, and it will take some getting through. The Earthcore Amalgam is actually quite a tough boss, quite taxing on the tank, especially as far as I've seen. I did do hard mode back in the day, so I mean, hard mode might be a different ball game altogether. But yeah, it's quite a challenging dungeon, quite a long dungeon. But this set is fucking great, really strong set. In PvE, it's good as well, but it's the same thing. You want it for the removal of AoEs on the floor. Can be really helpful in a pinch. For some things, like I believe it's really helpful for things like Asylum Sanctorium, where all the AoEs on the floor, it can like remove some of them if you're really struggling. But I don't think it's as powerful as some of the ones that just like increase your group's damage. I think most people recommend those sorts of things. But for a defensive set, it's pretty damn good. Alright, Mighty Chudan. This just gives you major resolve at all times. So this is good for any situation, any niche situation where you're thinking, I don't want to use an ability that gives me major resolve because I can't really accept needing to cast that ability as much as I do, but I want major resolve because it gives you because you defensively need some more oomph. The best like niche application that you'll have for that is scroll running. Because in some cases, you don't want to be stopping your sprint to have to cast a major resolve buff all the time, so it might just be worth it putting it there. Same thing in some cases with like specific trials where you just want to have that extra defense. But in most cases, there's so many, like every class has a good source of major resolve, and even if they don't, they've got things like balance, which is a good major resolve source. And I just don't think you're going to use this thing, and especially after Gaze of Sithis came out, really not going to be many times where this is really going to help you much, because you really don't want to have to use up an entire 2-piece monster set just to get an ability that you can just slot a skill for. Oh, sorry, get a buff that you can just slot a skill for, because you've got 10, I guess 12 slots of skills. You've only got one monster set that you can wear. So yeah, sometimes it might be worth doing that instead. So yeah, I don't think in many cases you're going to find much use for this, but it is a DLC dungeon that you would have to pay for. So if you just want to get the monster set so you don't have to worry about that, that is something else to get. And there are some niche applications where this is definitely banging. But yeah, very, very rare circumstances where I think it's going to be worth it. All right, Dune Ripper. Probably don't worry about this one at all. When you block, you get a bunch of physical and throw resist. It's in heavy armor. In most cases, tanks are probably going to have enough resistances, but resistance is probably not too important when you are blocking to that degree. Because, yeah, one, heavy, tanks are mostly usually going to have other sources to get the resistances. And two, if you're just relying on your resistances when you're blocking, it's probably not going to go that well. Because the amount of damage that you reduce just by blocking is like way more than you're going to get from just a little bit of extra resistances when you're blocking. So my advice here is just ignore this one, especially 200,000 gold for this, when Volenfell on normal isn't that bad either. But yeah, this to me is quite outdated. They have buffed it up a little bit, but I still think just running Fortified Brass in its stead, it is a lot less armor for the 5-piece, but this is armor that you get all the time. It comes in any of the armor types, so you can get light, medium, and heavy, so you can just run on whatever you want, and you get the armor all the time. It's just, I think, and you can craft it, so you can just you don't have to do a dungeon for ages to get it, so I don't think there's any reason to run that set. Fjords. This is a set I actually ran. I mean, I use it now. I just noticed. I actually use it on this character. I don't think this is as good as Darkstride for my builds as far as sustainability goes. But if you need a little bit more sprint speed to get to the cap for the vampire build that I use, for example, then this could be good. But I find that the sprint speed bonus is just a little bit overkill as far as most builds go, and the cost reduction of 15% isn't going to be as good as things like you've got Darkstride, which gives you 50% sprint cost reduction, and you've also got Prisoners, which does the same thing. So both of these can be a lot better than Fjords if you don't need the movement speed buff. If you do, go for it. But it's a overland set with a public dungeon that is relatively easy to just spam chests in, that being Hall of the Dead, though I fucking hate the ice wraiths in that dungeon. So yeah, I guess I would consider spending gold to skip those fucking annoying things, but I would definitely not spend 125,000 gold on that. Scathing Mage. This is a blast from the past, personally. This is a damage set that comes from... It's Imperial City? Yeah, it's Imperial City Prison. So one of the 2 free dungeons that you can get, the free DLC dungeons. This set is pretty good on paper, but the biggest problem and the biggest problem it's always had is the effect lasts 5 seconds, but has a cooldown of 5 seconds. So getting maximum uptime on this is not possible. You have to deal direct damage, which is not something you're always going to be doing. I mean, majority of times you're going to be doing it because you're just going to be light attacking, which is, in most cases, direct damage. But because the uptime is 5 seconds, there's always going to be that little delay between hitting a light attack and getting the uptime back up again. And if you single bar it, it's also going to suffer a little bit as well, because if you're not on the bar when it goes down and you're casting a bunch of dots, so it can be a couple of seconds that it's not up. So a couple of issues with this one that I don't think it's worth it spending 200,000 gold, because again, it's a DLC dungeon that you get access to straight away, for free, so you don't have to buy it. So again, I wouldn't really recommend this one, but this is actually a set that I have a lot of it brings back some nostalgia for me, because I was around when this was one of the Nightblades really made good use of this set, I think, back in the day, because there weren't near as many options, especially as broken options as there are now. Alright, Witchmans. There's basically a Dragon Knight passive where they get ultimate back whenever you use an ultimate. Some classes... sorry, yeah, ultimate back. You get resources back every time you cast an ultimate. So it's Mountain's Blessing from the Dragon Knight passive line, but just a little bit less powerful, and you need to sacrifice a whole 5-piece for it. So it's not great. I definitely wouldn't suggest this over a lot of other stuff, but there are some classes that can really... This can really fucking be quite powerful in very specific cases. A good example of this is Nightblades. If you can get Soul Harvest to apply constantly and like kill a lot of enemies, you can cast ultimates at a ridiculous degree, to the point in which like things such as False Gods or Vicious Ophidian will be not as good as using this thing. So sometimes it can be powerful, but it's very niche applications, and comparing this to other 5-piece sets, not really going to find much value out of it. And it's an overland set from an overland zone that is base game. So can you please... Yeah, so it's the Rift. So you can get these from Dolmens very, very cheaply, because yeah, it's not a set that anyone really worries too much about. So you can find this quite easily on guild stores for very cheap, and you'll spend less gold upgrading it that way rather than just buying a gold piece outright of this. My advice is don't bother with any of this stuff here, but definitely the Earthgore set, definitely consider looking at that. And maybe Mighty Chudan if you feel like you just don't want to put a major resolve buff on. But my advice is this isn't too good either. Yeah, definitely Earthgore. Earthgore's great. Alright. Let's go on to Endeavors now. Alright. So, Endeavors, we've got a 15 seal set. Citizens with the Blade of Woe, 10 items of fences, laundering. Wild and domestic animals, this is a weird one. Enemies with weapon poisons and repairing damage to structures at Cyrodiil. It's an okay set, not the best. This one here will be weird. The wild word here is really not the best thing they could have chosen there. I'll explain that one when I get to it, but this one here is very easy. So, the first important thing is to go to a campaign where your faction has a lot of keeps to look at. Because the more keeps you have access to, the more chance you'll have of finding something to repair. So firstly, you're just going to need 2 repair kits. Every single keep has a quartermaster. Just go to one of these, go into here, get a Cyrodiil repair kit, just buy 2 of these. Just make sure they're on your slot bar somewhere, or your quick slot bar. Come outside, see this? That is a wall that needs to be repaired. These postern walls can also be repaired, so basically as soon as you port in, just look at the keep door, this thing here, that can also be repaired. This thing here, that if you see the health bar and it's not 100%, then that also needs to be repaired. This one here also needs to be repaired. We need a little bit, but that tiny amount of health is all you need in order to repair it, because each repair kit does 5,000 damage worth of repairing. So that tiny amount of health there is all you need in order to get this one done. So that infinitely small amount to repair, like you look at all this shit outside and it's the same thing. So you will not have any shortages of damage to repair as long as like one thing needs to be repaired, basically. Alright, so now I'll talk about laundering items. This one, also very easy. I did talk in detail about the Necrom Underways strategy. If you want that one, I suggest just looking at my video yesterday for looting blue quality items for better. I went into pretty vast detail on how to use Outlaw's Refuge in Necrom for this strategy. That will work too. You just take a bunch of items from the urns in there. But this is usually the strategy I use, and it's something you can use on anybody because it's a base game zone. I don't need any DLC to own this. So what you want to do is find any house that gets you to Craglorn, because you need the Wayshrine in Belkarth. And as soon as you step foot in Craglorn, this Wayshrine will be unlocked. So yeah, just easiest way to get here if you haven't got it already is go one of the houses in Craglorn. So you've got, there's a couple. There's Earthtier Cavern, this one here, Elinir Private Arena, and Domus Frascus are like the 3. There's also, what's it called? High Hall. That's also another one that's valuable. So if you can find any of those on home tours and just travel to it, just go outside as soon as you travel to the actual house. It will bring you out of the house into Craglorn. So that's an easy way to get the Belkarth Wayshrine. Alright, so once you end up in this place, what you want to do is you come to this section here and just mass steal everything here. The good thing about this spot here is there's nobody to stop you from taking all this stuff. Nobody actually comes up here and checks. So you've got a bunch of items that you launder there. So there's 2, 4, 8, 9, 10. So we've got everything we need for 10 items to launder. And if there's not enough stuff up here, you can go to the greens baskets here, you've got millet stacks here, you've got barrels, you've also got, outside there's a tomato crate there as well, outside you've got a bunch of barrels and stuff to steal from as well. It's I have not been spotted checking this stuff here, even out of invisibility. I don't think anybody down there can actually see you. So yeah, go nuts up here as well, I think, but if you get spotted, let me know and it'll give me a reason to warn everybody. So once you've got 10 things, you just jump down here, go around this way, and there is an Outlaws Refuge right here. Just come down here. The closest fence is right here. You've got Rashinia. So make sure you hit the Launder tab. Don't accidentally sell everything because it will just waste your time. And there's 10 items there. Now, if that wasn't enough items, understand that entering the Outlaws Refuge resets everything in that building. So you can just walk in and just grab another couple of things if you missed out. And if you want to get back the gold that you spent on laundering, because, yeah, it's a couple of gold, you can just go to the merchant, go to materials, go provisioning, and everything will be there, and you just sell that, and you just make your money back. So you don't gain or lose any money from this. So, yeah, easy way to get 15 seals as well. Next up, killing wild or domestic animals. This one's weird. Wild animals, right? You'd think of like wolves and bears and shit. They don't actually count for this. The only things that count are things that don't actually fight back. So basically any of these critters with 1 health here, like these monkeys, these are actually what count as wild or domestic animals. So as you can see, kill those 2, that counts as 2. Now, the only issue is I checked a lot of dungeons to see if there's any wild or domestic, like any of these creatures that you can kill in them. I did not see anything. So these are only areas that are not instanced. So you're going to find that the best areas to check are going to be full of other people, as you can see. So this area here, Monkey's Rest, just northwest of Vocal Guard. This is a really good place because you start this way shrine by default. It's very easy to get up here and get access to these ones. And all that's here is just a ton of monkeys, these little guys here. So you just have to kill these guys one by one, and eventually you'll get the endeavor done. Now they do spawn relatively quick back up, but yeah, you will have to wait for them to respawn if someone comes through and kills them, because everybody else has got the same idea, and only one person can kill each of these things at a time. So I think that one just respawned already, hopefully. Probably not though. But yeah, there's quite a few here. But all it takes is for like one person to come through and take them, because it's 15 wild or domestic animals. It's a fucking lot. Normally it's like 5 or even 10. So yeah, it's not great. So the other option is this river here, just next to the Merkwasser Dolmen in Alaka Desert. Getting access to this place here is also great, because there's a ton of mountain goats here. You come over here, as you can see, there's also goats here. So these are also things that count for this endeavor. Oh, this guy's just beating me to it. See, that's the thing. You're going to be competing with other people for this, which sucks. Alright, so yeah, there's 7 out of 15. So just go through and do that. And, like, you'll find random enemies. You'll see, like, centipedes, and you'll see, like, deer and all sorts of other shit. You'll find those rarely in places like Craglawn or like the starter zones and stuff, but in big clumps like that, not really going to find that much. Now, one thing I do need to check, I don't really have any good way shrines there. I'll check that one later. If the netches count, the ones that you can find in places like Merkmire and shit like that, I need to check if they work, because they might actually be pretty good. And if the insect nodes work. But there's one more. Okay, so there's 2 more. There's also this area here, which is full of sheep, which I'll show you. But there's one big issue with this one, and that is you get a bounty if you kill those ones, because they're like livestock that belong to one of the farmers of this area. So yeah, this stuff here. There's not much right now, but usually there's more stuff than this. I'm pretty sure there's more stuff. There's also sheep sometimes. Now, the fact that it gives you a bounty for killing them is probably a good thing, because it means I think less people will be using that stuff. But I don't think there's even 15 in there. I swear there's usually more than that in that area. Alright, another one worth looking at is Kanathi's Roost. To the south of Mistral. This area here, there'll be a bunch of livestock here. Not a crazy amount, but I think there's more than 15 here. But once again, somebody else has got the exact same idea. Yeah, you can see someone's come through and killed them all.
Knowledge.
Yeah, here we go. There's more over here. These things here. They can't. But yeah, it's going to be the same no matter where you go. It's just, you're going to be competing with other people to try and kill these things. And it's just going to suck. Unless you go around and like find one at a time out in like the Fell Runners and Craglon and shit like that. This is going to be relatively slow going. Especially depending on how active the server is. If there's a lot of people, this one's going to be a fucking long one. If not, yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. Just keep checking these locations. You'll eventually find some stuff to kill. But yeah, I understand this is a competitive endeavor. You're trying to compete with other people here to do the same bloody thing. So, you know, might as well be a bloody PvP endeavor at this rate. Okay, so next up, I'll talk about afflicting enemies with weapon poisons. This one sucks as well a bit, only because of how long it's going to take. So, poisons have a 10-second global cooldown. Every single poison shares it. So, this will at least take 150 seconds because of the time taken between poisons. And that's like perfect conditions. So, what you're going to want to do is get two things. Firstly, you want some poisons. Crown lethal poisons, you get tons of these things from the daily rewards. We've gotten 2 this time around, so we've got 300 at least. So you should have some lying around unless you absolutely use all of them. In that case, you're bloody crazy. But if not, go to any alchemist in the game. For example, the one in Volkagard is found here. They will sell poisons themselves, so you can just buy poisons from them too for a little bit of gold. Now, considering that this one you can do in instance areas, while the wild or domestic animals one, you kind of have to do this in places where you're competing with other people. This one might be better off than this one, but maybe not. I don't know. Your mileage might vary with either of them. And then next up, you're going to want an ability, a weapon ability that is an AoE spammable. In this case, I've got Unstable Wall, but it depends. In two-handed, you're going to want Cleave. Also Stampede for the AoE on the floor. In dual wield, you're going to want Blade, Cloak, and Whirlwind, these two together. So you cast this and then spam that. That's a good way to proc poisons. Arrow Spray and Volley together. So cast Volley and then spam Arrow Spray. And here you can use both of these, but personally I just use Destruction Wall. I think this is a good damage over time and spammable. This one's range is quite small. Usually I go the range more for this one, because otherwise it's very small, the area. Alright, so in this case, what I'll do is I'll chuck Blade, Cloak, and Wall of Fire on. And so that way, what I'll do is I'll use Cloak, because the way poisons work is it is a 20% chance to apply on every weapon ability. And applying the weapon ability multiple times to the same target, hitting multiple targets counts. So you've got a 20% chance if you hit a bunch of enemies at once on each enemy individually. So if you have a bunch of enemies to hit with your spammable, it has a pretty high chance of applying the poison straight away. Now, god damn it. So places like this are good normally, but in this case there's nobody here, so someone's come through and killed all the enemies. Sit here. So we've got these lion guards here. So all you want to do is just chuck your AoE or your damage over time abilities on, and then spam a skill over and over. So as I said, the biggest issue you're going to have with this one is the cooldown. As you can see, it's only applied once or twice now in the last 20 seconds because I have to wait for this bloody cooldown to go away. It's really annoying. It's going to be the only reason you can't just do this super fast. But yeah, nothing you can do about that, I'm afraid. And if you put 2 different poisons on 2 different bars, it does nothing. The poisons share the same cooldown, so you have to wait regardless of how many poisons you're applying. Now your best option here is to do as little damage as you can do, because the faster enemies die, the more you're going to have to go out and find other enemies, so that might mean that the amount of enemies available is like a lot lower, because other players will probably be doing the same thing. Now you can, if you just got one enemy, you can just spam light attacks and eventually it will apply, but that is much, much slower. A lot slower. So now I won't engage these guys yet, I'll just wait for the cooldown. I've got an add-on that tells me how long the cooldown is. You can see it at the bottom near the center, just to the left of the skill bar, near the speedometer. It tells me when it's up next, so it's up now, yep, there it goes. So I just chill for a bit and just watch that, and if it's up near if it's coming up soon, I just wait with that. Alright, we're getting there. Just as long as there's a lot of enemies. So this is why I suggest using something like this. This is a public dungeon. This is the Lion's Den in the far western side of the Rift. It's because it is a public dungeon, aka full of enemies. So there's a couple of really good instance places you can go to. You know, you've got dungeons which you can do. They're a little bit tougher, but yeah, they're pretty good. Skyreach Catacombs is definitely the best place for this, because Skyreach is just full of just lots and lots of enemies. Lots and lots of really easy enemies to fight too. It's just melee enemies. But getting there is a bit of a pain in the ass if you haven't been there already. You really do that. You can also put a bunch of target skeletons in like a big clump in one spot in a house, and that will actually work really well, because they do apply poisons too. The only thing about that though is they don't apply hindrance poisons, the ones that just slow enemies down. There we go. Another one. Alright, one more and I'm done. Yeah, they don't apply hindrance poisons to skeletons too, because I don't think you can actually snare them. At least I don't think so anyway. Come on. There we go. Alright, we're done. Just kill these enemies and move on. Alright, so yeah, there's nothing really else to explain there. Just the more enemies that you can group up and hit with weapon abilities, the quicker it'll get to its next cooldown, basically. But no matter what, you're just going to have to deal with that 10-second cooldown. As far as I'm aware, there's no way to actually reduce it. Fun. So we've got the kill 10 citizens with the Blade of Woe Endeavor. This one is a bit... can be... alright, so it's not terrible, but I think there's a very specific way you want to do this, and it does... in that case, it requires a little bit of preparation. So if you haven't gotten to that point, I think it is worth it spending that little extra time, maybe like an hour or so, getting to the stage where you can prepare for this, and then after that you don't have to worry again. You're ready to go after that. So, Blade of Woe. How do you get that? You need the Dark Brotherhood DLC. In order to get access to the actual Blade of Woe, you need to start the zone questline for the Gold Coast. Here. So you need to complete Voices in the Dark. Once you complete Voices in the Dark, you'll get access to the Blade of Woe, and at that point, you can keep going. Now, if you want to get access to the thing that I suggest using, you need to have completed a Lesson in Silence. It's the 5th main quest in these Gold Coast Zone stories. Once you do that, you get something else, like access to something else, which I'll show you, which is really handy for this. Because the biggest problem you're going to have is, once again, just like wild or domestic animals, this one is going to be, you're going to be competing with other people. Because, you know, normally you go to Orion, there's like acolytes here that you can just assassinate with the Blade of Woe, a bunch of enemies, a bunch of people here that you can also kill. But everybody's going to have the same fucking idea. So you come to these kind of places, the more like out of the way and like just the more in the middle of nowhere the place that you can go to, the better chance you're probably going to have, especially when it's busy, when the server's busy, to just find a bunch of people to kill. So anybody... Okay, firstly... Oh, what do you know? Go stealth. There you go. There's one. The only thing is, I'm pretty sure they belong to the people, so I think you get a bounty by killing them. But yeah, that's, I guess, something you can do. Alright, so also go to settings before you start this. Go to settings, gameplay, prevent attacking innocents. Make sure that is turned off, because if you have this on, you can't actually target these people here and kill them with the Blade of Woe. You can get an endeavor to allow you to, but you need it's an add-on for PC, so I don't know if console will have access to that. So go prevent attacking innocents, set that to off, and now anything with this white outline around the NPC, these are people that you can kill. Now the biggest problem you're going to have. Okay, so the biggest problem you're going to have is if you kill people close to other people, too close, they'll spot you and you get a bounty. That is your biggest issue. Also, I'm pretty sure this guy won't get you in trouble because apparently he's a figment of my imagination. He doesn't actually spot me. So we'll try and go here. We'll get this person. I might get spotted. Nope. Managed to get away with that. So I've got a bounty right now, so I've got to be a little bit careful. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. So there's nobody around. Okay, so I'm just going to see, does this guy give me a bounty? Is he still there? Nope, apparently not. He's totally fine with violence, apparently. So these kinds of places, like Bergama, there's fucking nobody here unless it's like that New Life Festival thing. They got to run through all the fire pits or whatever it is. Yeah, other than that, nobody's here doing this place. Whereas if you go to something like here in Oridon, like this place here, fucking everybody's here killing everyone. So you have a hard time getting anything done over there because everybody else is trying to do the same thing. So you can use something like this, just a place that nobody else is in, and just start killing people here, and that will maybe make this one a lot easier to do because you're not dealing with as many people trying to do the same thing and competing for the same resource. But the biggest issue you're going to have is the bounty. Every time you get spotted, the guards will, one, come after you, and two, give you quite a bounty. Because every time you kill someone, it gives you a huge bounty. So yeah, you're going to be very careful of that. Now, the thing that I recommend you do is related to Dark Brotherhood as well. So let me show you what that is. Black Sacraments. So I'm a simple man, okay? I have simple tastes. I see an endeavor that can be done with an instanced location, and I recommend that. So in this case, it's going to be the Black Sacraments. Probably seen this a little bit in the recent past, but yeah, really good for today's endeavor. So what you want to do with this one is just kill people with the Blade of Woe. Don't worry about completing the objective. You can if you want. The rewards aren't super important. You do get XP for the Dark Brotherhood skill line, which is really, like, there's one passive which is really fucking good, which I'll talk about at the very end. But everything else doesn't really matter. So you just come in here, and the thing is, nobody else can actually come in here and kill the people that are in here. The only issue is you've got these people here, these guards here, the red outlines. Red outlines, ignore them, avoid them whenever you can, because remember, in here you get a bounty if you're spotted. I believe the bounty doesn't go up nuts. I think it goes up like a fair bit at the start, but it doesn't go up every time you get spotted. I'm pretty sure it's just once. So these people with the white outlines, these are what you're looking for. So come up right behind these guys when they let you. Wow. Okay. Look at this guy. All right. So there's one. Yeah, and you just come through. You can just kill these guys here. Don't worry too much about them. Let's kill them. As you can see, I didn't get a bounty from that. And you can just come out behind these people and just kill them. And then, if it's too painful getting the rest of them, or it's just, there's, I don't know, maybe not enough people in here for some reason, you can just go to the sacrament here, abandon it, and it will kick you out, and what it'll do is you can accept the quest again, everybody will respawn, you can just go in and just keep killing people for the endeavor. So yeah, that's the only real thing I recommend for this. And yeah, unfortunately you do need to progress through the Gold Coast storyline a little bit to get access to this. But once you've done that, you've got access to this, and it's really helpful for any time you have to kill citizens, or if you have to kill with the Blade of Woe, like any of those murder innocent people ones. Really helpful for those. Because one, it's instant, and two, you can just reset it as quickly as you want. So it's just, yeah, really, really reliable, this one. Okay. And then, sorry, I'll just explain real quick. Completing the Dark Brotherhood heists, so Black Sacraments, is good up until Dark Brotherhood 7, which you unlock Shadow Rider. This is one of the best passives in the fucking game. I love this passive. It's so good. Basically, you can just ride past enemies on your mount without them spotting you. Really, really good for just like running through and getting resources from the world and shit like that. Because you can just, if you're fast enough, your mount can just whiz past everything and just doesn't get spotted. It's just so good. Everything else in this place, I really don't give a shit about, but Shadow Rider is the fucking shit. I love this passive. So yeah, definitely consider that. Anything else, though, is just personal preference. Okay, any questions about any of this stuff, just let me know as always, but that'll do for now. Daily Sun, thanks everyone for watching, thanks for your support as always, and I'll see you next time. Laters.